All right, welcome back to Shintaro Higashi Show, Peter Yu. Today we have two very special guests. Well, Reagan's always behind the camera, but he's going to be in front of the camera today. We have a very special guest, Joseph Coker. But before we move on, we've got to thank our sponsors.
Jason and Levant.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Judo TV with the IJF.
Fuji in certain episodes.
All of them. Thank you. You guys could also sponsor us. You can go to our Patreon and click the links below. Thank you so much. All right, Joe Coker. How do we know each other?
I found you online and I decided to do a private lesson and I came here during COVID and it was love at first sight.
Yes. I love your story because you came to New York to do stand-up comedy.
Yep.
Right? So that was really cool and you're a really funny guy. And then you come to the dojo to work out. And then we have all these commonalities, right? You grew up in a dojo.
Yep. Yeah, that was the funny thing is that is like... I feel like a lot of people in the grappling world, they find martial arts late. And then people in more traditional martial arts, they end up doing it a lot earlier as kids and whatever. And so I grew up in a karate school. You grew up in an everything school. Yeah. You started martial arts late, right? You like in like
28.
20s. Yeah. That's pretty standard for grappling world.
As far as my connection with the social media, like I am the demographic, so it's easy for me to be like, do I like this or not?
Yeah, so I grew up in a karate school more or less, and then did that in my early 20s. Then got
Dad's a karate teacher.
Yeah, my dad's karate teacher, my brother's karate teacher. That was like our field, and that's what we were, farmers of karate.
Yeah, in North Carolina.
North Charleston, South Carolina.
I still
no one knows South Carolina. It's an invisible state.
South Carolina.
And
then you betrayed them by going into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, I did the worst thing you could do, which is switch sports. No one likes that. And
How long did you do karate for?
I mean, some of my earliest memories were in a karate school. Like I remember one time, one of my core memories as a child is we walked into my dad's dojo. He turned on the lights, and then a couple cockroaches started running across the floor.
Yeah.
And then he tried to cheer on me and my brother to chase him down and step on him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Go get him!" We're just like,
It's kind of like in Rocky when he chases the chickens.
Yes, exactly, but with a roach in our bare feet. It wasn't a bad place. It was just like that's what we were doing. It was, I remember cleaning the showers as a kid for like $1 or something. You know?
You definitely get overworked, underpaid as a martial arts child.
Yeah. Martial arts, like all schools, thrive on this undercurrent of free labor.
Yes.
Interns, and up and comers.
For the honor of the sensei.
Yeah.
So the jiu-jitsu, you ran a kids, that's why you're here today, right? Mostly to talk about the kids program, because I deem you are one of the best kids martial arts instructors that I've seen in a really long time.
Thank you.
We have a program here, you work here now too,
Yep.
right? And we work, Joseph also manages my real estate portfolio as well, because of Airbnb. So there's a lot of stuff happening here.
And your OnlyFans is popping. You're doing everything.
I'm like the lady that killed Selena, but he's Selena. So I'm managing the fan club.
You ran a kids jiu-jitsu program.
Yep.
For a long time down
in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
East Carolina.
I ran a school there and started very humbly, like teaching in daycares, and then it kind of grew, and then we were teaching in this place called Mixon for a while, and it was probably like the best job I've ever had. I think it was so fulfilling and so fun. I had so many great students. I'm still in touch with some of them, and so it was funny to stop that to like go to New York for no clear reason, and then so it was
comedy. You want to be a comedian.
Yes, but it's funny. Like you go from teaching kids, which is an immediately fulfilling, everyone's proud of you kind of job, and then you're like, well, I just signed up for a 9 p.m. open mic. It's like
there's not a roadmap for the comedy world.
Yeah,
and New York kind of exists in this like storybook mythic thing for comedians. So it's like. There was very different expectations between.
For sure. So I think it's nice. It's been nice to teach some kids classes here because it's kind of reusing that part of my brain and something that I was good at, but also really loved. So.
So how do you feel like your method is distinguished as opposed to like the more traditional?
I think that people that are bad at teaching kids martial arts, it's because they don't want to most of the time. Because they see it as a lower status thing than teaching adults.
They really do.
Yeah.
They really do. Because then even sometimes like in the micro essence of conversation, people are like, you teach martial arts. Oh, I don't teach kids though, I teach adults.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no one asked you.
Right.
It just shows the insecurity
Where you're coming
of it,
from.
you know?
Yeah, everyone assumes that it's like more masculine to teach adults, and I don't know. Maybe in some ways it is because you have to like fight some adults. You never have to fight a kid. Just
very
about
true.
where to put
Yeah.
the shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I think for me, I try to always remember the age of the person that's standing in front of me and
Yeah.
set the goals there. So for some kids, maybe the goal is that they learn how to cross their legs in class today, and I don't have to tell them 100 times.
Yeah.
That's a great judo or jiu-jitsu experience. And for other kids, maybe they can do something a lot more higher level, but
Yeah.
understanding what you can expect out of somebody and being happy about it and just being in a good mood. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of instructors,
Yeah.
they think they have to take on this like everyone is aping their instructor. It's like, oh, if I have a Brazilian coach, I have a Brazilian accent. If I have a Japanese coach, I have a Japanese accent. And everyone takes on this like stern posture, and it's not really necessary.
No.
Unless there's
definitely not.
trouble, you know.
Yeah.
But so I guess that's my general.
Yeah, when I watch your class, and you know, we've had a bunch of martial arts teachers here at KBI. I've been in many programs. I taught kids programs all over the city, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the two things that really stand out is the one, you're charismatic and fun with the kids. And it's a fun class always.
Yeah.
And there is that vibe. And the second thing is you set boundaries and you enforce boundaries.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's what distinguishes you from a lot of the others. Right?
Yeah.
1 warning, 2 warning, all right, you're off the mat.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like this for you, but when I was growing up, if you or any sport really, if you got in trouble, you had to do like whatever amount of push-ups is always
Yeah.
something possible.
Run a lap or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I kind of learned from running camps and stuff that like never give a kid a punishment that you are not willing to stand over them and examine. Because like you give a kid 50 push-ups and they're just like
Yeah.
just laming their way through
Right.
it, and it's like, well, who is being punished right now? But I think that's like exactly like I'm going to give them a boundary that I will very clearly enforce, and then I think
Yeah.
that makes kids feel safe because they know
Yeah.
that like, okay, someone's paying attention to me and they care about how I behave, and so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's not like push-ups, right? I've never seen you, hey, you got to do 100 push-ups or anything like that. It's always like, right, you have a stern talking to, and it's like, hey, if you're not ready, you got to get off the mat. And
Yes.
you use that space very well, because then, you have to pay attention to everyone else in the class.
Oh yeah.
And before you even have that conversation, there's ways for you to rope them in, right? For instance,
Yes.
this kid's messing around, but hey, so-and-so has a very good osoto.
Yes, exactly.
So now you're already complimenting them, so now they feel good about themselves, therefore they're more likely to behave in a positive way before you even have to say, hey, listen, kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's something you do pretty good.
If you have to use force, it's probably because you are bad at teaching and you're probably missing something. So
Yeah.
to me, what we're doing should be so worth listening to that a kid doesn't have to like focus in. So like I'll do stupid stuff like if we've been working on balancing on 1 foot for an osotogari, we have these targets that we stand on. When I'm walking to the kids to show them the targets, I will be slapping them with my hands just because
Yeah.
it's another way of me saying, hey, let's, look at this thing. I'm hyping up this stupid little thing we're
Yeah.
doing. But also, I don't know. I think there a lot goes into it, but being in a good mood, I think, helps, and being clear with stuff helps.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
those little achievements too. Like we were like, I've been teaching the kid classes for a while now, for over a year,
Yeah.
and it's like what I consider to be like acceptable goals for them don't actually work sometimes at the lowest levels.
Yeah.
So just balance on this, like run from here to there, something like these little things that aren't even judo or aren't even karate, anything. It's just like, oh, these are the level of achievements they need to feel
Yeah.
that positivity and then
Yeah.
reach. And if they don't leave with that, it's tough.
Yeah, like one time I saw a guy that I hired to help me with a summer camp teach. I was like, just teach him something for 30 minutes. I had something
Yeah.
else to do. And I come back and he's trying to teach the kids how to do a butterfly sweep. And I was like, these kids don't know what a butterfly is. like an actual butterfly. How are they going to do the sweep? They don't know what a sweep is or a
Yeah.
guard or how the other guy should sit.
There's a butterfly hook.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even know what a hook is. So like, how can you expect
Yeah.
this higher order thing of them? And he's like, why is this class going so poorly? I'm like, yeah, that's...
Well, you said it the other day, like you told them to line up and they didn't line up. It's like they don't know what a line is. They don't stand in lines and distinctly got to show them. And then they were like, when you broke it down for them, they're like, okay, I'm going to stand here, then you're going to stand behind me, and so on. And they're like, oh, I could do that. And even that was like a small achievement.
Because even like they don't know what a line is, but like in the context of the room in class, okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna go to art now, line up in front of the door, and the kids run there, and they've done that routine before. But sometimes it's like, all right, line up for these drills, it's like, all right, do we line up on that white wall or down there, or do we line up like because when we're lining up before and after practice, it's over there. So, right, so you have to model everything, right?
No, that's so true. You have to give like a very, very clear prompt, and the younger a kid is, words aren't enough because like we teach really young kids, they might know 800 words, and none of them are related to judo.
Right.
So everything you're teaching them is expanding their verbal category. And so if you say make a single file line, what does that even mean? That's too much. And what I've often found is that kids are actually trying to listen to you and they're trying to train with you, but you've given them something that's impossible for them to do because they don't have enough information.
Yeah, grab the collar and sleeve, like what?
Yeah,
5-year-old doesn't know what a collar sleeve is.
Where they're putting their thumb down the sleeve and
they're
they're like, aha.
This also is like a pretty unique environment. Like the space just have padded walls, and then to everyone be in the same uniform is rare. At least for me going to public school.
Wow.
But even in the real world, like I was on construction sites a lot. It's sharp, dusty. Don't touch anybody, deadly. And here it is like, we're only going to be grabbing each other. We're all wearing the same thing. Everything's padded. It was like very big shift.
It is in a way, this is a very safe space for kids to like physically interact with the world and make mistakes and whatever. And
And like just like grab a collar and sleeve. It's like, when do you do that anywhere
You're not
else?
allowed to do that anywhere else in the world. And then throw a guy on the ground or whatever,
Different teaching karate and judo? And jiu-jitsu, because you taught all three, right? Karate, judo, and jiu-jitsu.
You know what the difference is? It's easier to fill a room full of people with karate space-wise because you can do so many solo drills. Like in jiu-jitsu, if you're like, okay, we're going to do 50 shrimps, everybody, what are we doing? 50 solo shrimps. But in karate, like a third of the class is punching the air and doing blocks and kicks, and that's considered normal.
Yeah, and it's tough to keep their attention. Doing kata and form and things like that, but some people do it really well, right? I mean, so what is the magic to keeping their attention for something that's like, all right, getting stance and throw strikes over and over? It may not be fun for a kid.
Yeah, right? I think having something that's immediately applicable to what they're doing. It's like, here is a problem. Here's a solution. Here's how it could go wrong. Here's another solution, and then let's try it right now. And then give him one thing we've been working on in the kids' class is when we're doing a more advanced technique is that we pair up with the kid first, so they get the proper signals, and then later we'll let them pair up with each other. Because like, you have a kid who's trying to do an osotogari, and the other kid's like not in a stance, his hands are in his belt, and it's like, there is no problem. He can do any move.
To me, it's always like the difference between teaching math and engineering. It's like engineering, here we have a problem, you're going to use math to solve it. Where math is just like abstract, when am I going to use this?
Yeah.
Why do I need it?
Kids cannot accept abstract when it comes to teaching,
No.
But you've taught like a bunch of different stuff. What do you think's the difference?
Oh, that's tough, man. I mean, I think it's a little bit more, when we do randori, we don't let our kids just do full randori here,
I think that you should talk about that because I think that's I never saw that until I came here, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, we hold the kids' collars.
Like the way you like break up a fight.
We hold two kids' collars because it takes one time, and yes, it depends on the situation, depends on the type of program that you're running. But in Manhattan, when all the kids are doing once or twice a week, but majority of the kids are doing once a week because they have chess, soccer, tennis, baseball, after school, tutors, all this stuff. They're booked to the gills, right?
Yeah.
So they usually do a once a week thing.
Yep.
And then when they're doing like ice skating, right? So they, like with Yumi right now, they're doing it once a week. So you can't let those guys just freely do randori, and then you get a kid that does it twice a week versus a kid that's been doing it 2 years. And these kids are gonna get smoked.
Oh yeah.
And then when you have like, all right, let the orange belt pair up with the new guy, and then let those two kids do randori, you're really trusting that one kid not to throw them.
You're treating him like an instructor almost to not make a mistake that could cost this kid dislocating his
so
shoulders.
it's like you have to worry about that, but maybe you trust them, but then you're leaving it up to chance a little bit because maybe that kid can't really control it. So we take all those risks out.
Yeah.
Where we hold the kids' collars, right? So I think when you do that, you could have 3 or 4 randori mats going on at once, but it's more labor intensive because you have to have assistants to be able to do it. Or at the very end of the class, it's like a treat. All right, last 10 minutes we're going to do randori. Everyone sit in a circle, and then we're going to have you and you. You guys are paying attention. You guys get to do randori. Come out here, and you hold them up, and they go crazy, and the kids go nuts. And then you get another 2. Not everyone goes, maybe, but, right, as opposed to, like you said, karate, I've taught like a 70-person after-school thing.
Yeah.
It was like a one-off thing or like an assembly.
Yeah.
We have 70 kids in there, and everyone's kicking and punching in the air. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And that, it's like you really have to be sort of like a one-man show where you're yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
Grappling, it could be a little bit more about them,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit more labor-intensive, like, because you have to be in it with them and have appropriate supervisors. That's just my opinion on that, you know?
I've seen my dad do that before with like the karate thing, like
Yeah.
teaching huge, like private lessons. Like, cause that's the other thing. I feel like one thing that's like a little bit different about karate is they're a lot more comfortable like marketing themselves. Like some of my earlier karate upbringings is we would go and do like a demonstration for the Boy Scouts or this church or whatever, and you just have to show up and make it not weird. That you're all wearing belts and like my dad's breaking a concrete brick or whatever. Everybody's just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, do you ever worry about when you're teaching like the judo kids like holding their collars for safety? Do you ever worry that like they won't be able to transition to when no one's holding their collars, obviously like competition or whatever?
You know, so I do. And then when those kids who have only been doing it for a year with supports, coming once a week, enter a competition, they're gonna get smoked. Without a doubt. But you're gonna go, you know, that's like managing expectation with parents, right? I want my kid to compete. It's like, okay, wait a minute. You're competing against Russian kids, tough kids from the Bronx, etc. These kids do judo 4 or 5 times a week because they usually put their kid in one program and they lean into it.
Yeah.
These kids do judo 5 days a week. They work out at home. Their dads might have done judo or wrestling or grappling. Right? Maybe they come from a family of grapplers.
Yeah.
So for you to put your kid in once a week, first of all, you're never going to catch up doing it once a week for a year. Second of all, we need to keep them safe first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right? So those kids will never be able to get put into that environment. But you take said kid who does it for a semester. Next semester he does it twice a week, then he does it 3 times a week, and he grew up under that system. We have kids now who are 13, 14-year-olds who came up through that, and now, you know, for instance, like Liam and Max and those kids.
They're incredible.
They're doing good. They're going out there
yeah.
competing, winning 15 under, 17 under tournaments. Now I don't hold them.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And then during that time period, they learn to take chances, right? Without the risk of getting slammed on their head. And it takes one time for a kid to get smoked for them to want to quit.
Yeah,
You know?
that's so true.
So yes and no, but it's managing the parents, right? It's like, can this kid perform in an environment like a competition and do well under the, you know, scaffolding of once a week with collar holding? They can't.
Yeah.
You know, they really can't.
But
they'll get there.
We did an in-house tournament recently, and the kids.
Yeah.
It was the most interesting thing was seeing them in that environment without the restriction, without the collar holding.
Yeah.
And once they started turning a little bit more than we were ever allowing them, and consequences of someone getting the wrong grips for them, some people came online. You watched it in their eyes. They're like, the next exchange, I got to really step up right now because there's nothing. And some of these kids really, all of them actually improved.
Yes.
Some of these kids like got it. They were seeing.
And you know what? Some of those kids probably quit after that. You know? And you know, you hear the old martial arts senseis, oh, they weren't cut out for it. You're doing those kids a disservice.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and I'm not, totally against like the strongest survive, and I don't really believe in that. But boy, man, that was crazy when we did that in-house tournament. It's like, all right, no more. Everyone just go do free takedowns. Such a normal thing in the judo world.
Right.
But it's not normal. No. And that's why judo's not popular. Because it's freaking scary. And if I was in that room, I purposely didn't come. We would have had a panic attack now. Watch these kids smoke each other.
But no, what it is that martial arts had.
No, you're bringing it back. I'm only remembering the good stuff.
Like Vietnam.
Staring off into the distance.
Some of the dads like send me clips like, look at my son, he did so good, right? And I was like watching it, he's spiking this kid head first into the ground. I'm like this, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, you know. But it's like, but that's what judo is.
My favorite
you know?
part is that none of the parents had either watched judo online or ever in person. So nobody knew what to say. They didn't know to like keep the eye on the ball, like good hustle. So there I am on the side going like, come on, you get your grips. Come on, defend the grips. And then like I'm the only voice.
They're just yelling.
Sea of people. Dead silent.
Dude,
that's
there
so
was
awkward.
definitely a huge information asymmetry. And that's also a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, right? And we talk about judo's dying in the country, et cetera, and we have all these different things, but it also primes the people who are in the know who can do for huge success because it's winner takes all.
Yeah.
You know what I like about the system, that the way you do it is that there's this vein of tough guy bullshit in all martial arts. Karate has it,
Yeah.
Judo has
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, even like martial arts that are objectively terrible and bad. Like there's like ninjutsu guys who are like, if you can't do knuckle push-ups, it's like their whole style's a lie. You're like, why are you acting so hard? This isn't prison.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
so like, and the thing is, that's I think why people go to martial arts, is to push themselves, to feel tough, to feel secure and strong. But like, you can always like raise the intensity level. But if you violate somebody's like trust by spiking the intensity in a moment in a match, then that's when people quit. You know, because it's like one of the first times I went to judo, and it was an accident. I don't care, but like one of the first times I went to judo, this black belt put me in like a Georgian grip, and then I was like trying to posture out of it, and then he threw me Osoto like so hard that like I drove home like in my car, like I was like, am I concussed? Or am I not concussed? And like, it was an accident, and that guy was just like a little wild. It wasn't like the lead instructor, it was just like kind of a random guy. But like that sucks, and like that could be the reason someone's like, oh, I'm not meant for this sport. And really, it was just like one error on my part because I didn't know something. But also, this guy, you know, he went too crazy. You know?
Jimmy Pedro was just on recently, and you watched and edited that podcast. He said, we don't let adult beginners who come into the system do randori for guess how many months?
How many?
Take a guess. No, this is Jimmy Pedro speaking here.
This
in his dojo, guy signs up, he's 27 years old, I want to do judo, signs up for the beginner class.
3 months or something?
2 years.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you gonna? Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with him.
Yeah.
What is
You
his,
can, of course. We can all disagree with anybody, you know? It's free
But-
speech. Yeah. You
but-
can definitely do that.
I mean, for adult student, the other thing too, like about like teaching adults versus kids, is everyone thinks it's so much more like noble to teach adults or whatever, but they are like the most prone to quitting and most prone to injury. They're the
brittle.
flightiest of students.
Yeah,
you
they'll
know?
tell you they want to be a champion,
Yeah.
show up once a week.
Well, for me, I did a ton of sports and stuff, and I love teaching people things, like whatever under the sun. And it was always like kind of like private lessons with adults. But like since teaching the kids, I learned so much more about teaching adults because the mannerisms play the same. Reward systems and self, achievements and stuff like that. It's like
chopping things down in slices.
and like what it means to teach to a group. And if I can teach it to the kids in a large setting, the adults become that much better. And I don't look down on the kids in any way. Like, it's really good.
And you know what's the difference between kids and adults really is like everyone has different motivation systems, right? Extrinsic reward, intrinsic reward. Some kids like praise, some kids like high five, some kids need stripes, right?
Yeah.
They'll show you. You say something nice about them, they light up. Oh, and then some kids are like, I want a belt, I want a belt. What am I gonna get about? Oh, he's crying because all the kid got to yell about. Some kids don't care. Adults, they'll hold all that in and resent you. I don't know what this guy wants, like whether he's there for, whether he needs a slap on his back, he needs verbal cues, he needs me to validate his efforts, or he needs just like a friend, or whether he wants a belt.
Or
I
a
don't really
community,
know.
a community that you can't
I
even
don't know.
provide. Yeah.
I don't know.
To not feel lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very vulnerable with that, right? They're not gonna tell me like, hey, I need you to tell me that I'm good enough, or like I really need the belt, or I feel like this guy's they won't tell me that.
You can't put that on the intake waiver.
No.
What type of praise would you like from your sensei?
Yes. And they'll quit before you figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
But a kid, when that kid walks in, 3 conversations in, how that kid is motivated, right?
Yeah.
And that's whether it comes from their parents or whatever. And there's just some kids that just want to beat that other kid that's in front of them, and you see those kids, and then, right? I think that's the biggest difference for adults and kids.
Yeah. I feel like the beating the other kid comes later for some kids. Like once they become like, I had this student and her name's Lucy, and she's like one of my favorite kids ever. And she was like the most kind of like, I'm from the South, she is too, like petite little Southern little girl, would never be loud in class, whatever. Yeah. And then she just started to get really good. And then she would always train with these boys, and sometimes she'd lose, sometimes she'd win, sometimes she'd get hurt. She started to get better and better. And then one day we were at this tournament where she was just drilling everybody, just taking their backs, choking all the kids. Yeah. And then she just said, she's like, I like choking the kids. And I was like, what I understood her to mean is that like it feels good to be competent and dominant under pressure. like there's like 50 people watching this match, this little Shiai, and then she and she beat this kid that no one thought she should beat, and like that's so good for your brain to experience as a kid.
It really is.
To just know that you can do something positive,
You play a lot of games in your classes?
Right now, we don't really play that many games.
Yeah.
I grew I think when I'm normally teaching, we normally would.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of schools that have like games that are fun but also have some value. But no, it's funny. None of the kids here expect a game.
Yeah.
Like that's interesting to me. They don't expect like dodgeball last 5 minutes or they want like they're the big like randori kids here. I like that.
Yeah.
I do love throwing dodgeballs at kids for my own stress relief.
I think that was my biggest thing when I first started the program. I was much more involved with the kids program before, right? And when
You
I
have to
first-
be.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I really wanted it to be distinguished from all the other after-school programs. There's a million of them,
Yeah.
right? For them to come in and then do like static stretching and lift running and push-ups and all that stuff, it's like every program does this already.
Yep.
So like using warm-ups that are judo specific that the parent says, oh, I haven't seen this before. Even like ladder drills, right? Like certain movements or foot patterns that are like judo accessible kind of. Right? Judo, that's not the right word.
Specific.
But like, judo specific.
Yeah.
So you're doing everything in the room is skill specific stuff and skill acquisition stuff. You know,
Yeah.
even like uchikomi is part of the warm-up.
Yeah.
Right? We're actually doing judo for the whole time was the thing that I really kind of wanted. So I think that's where the base of it came from.
Yes.
You know, and then obviously Eugene, there was Andy and there's a bunch of other guys in between. But now Eugene is sort of the manager of the kids, director of the kids program.
Yeah.
You're teaching twice a week.
Yeah.
You're teaching also, and then I think it kind of like trickled down, right?
Yeah.
But you don't do traditional warm-up like, all right, guys, touch your toes, do this kind of thing. It's like, what for?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've always heard that you should help them like raise their core temperature by like a degree so they're nice and warmed up and then move on. But like when I grew up, like in karate classes, everybody's like doing neck twists and counting each one in Japanese as hard as you can.
This is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? It's such a waste of time.
When you could do literally anything. You could do kata to warm up, you could do or like grip fighting and judo.
I mean, like, it's defensible, right? If a kid gets hurt, it's like, did you guys properly warm up? Of course, you have to have some kind of warm up incorporated in. You can't just be like, all right, guys, we're jumping in, we're doing Randori.
Yeah, start slamming each
Yeah,
other.
you can't do that, but,
What was it like growing up in this dojo? Doing
I wanted to mention that there's no way your dad held your jacket.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even hold your jacket when he's throwing you. He'd probably just
Yeah.
you.
It was brutal, man. It was, I mean, because we didn't really have a kids program here.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, was there one? I see the pictures. Like we did the.
There was a kids program, but then when I was a kid, it was all mixed in with adults.
Okay.
So like the kids program started, and he designed a lot of the programs for me to be able to be a part of it, right? So like
that's
my
sweet.
mom would pick me up from school and then bring me here, and then like the kids class would start, but it would be also there'd be like a 30-40 minute overlap with the adult program, so the adults can work out with the kids, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it was kind of nuts. You know? It wasn't like warm and fuzzy at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, but I think it is funny to see how like training methods change as you get older, and like if you think about like however we teach now is an amalgamation of things we've all learned, and then things we learned from our instructors, and then things we learned from our like earliest memories, and then we think about like what did your dad learn? How was he treated? How did my dad learn? How my brother learned? How were they treated? And it must have been even crazier then,
Yeah, like I speak to guys who came through that system before me, and my dad was like, all right, guys, 10-minute warm-up, 10 minutes of break falls, 10 minutes of drills, and then all Randori after that. So it was like, that's what you did with the kids. And then, on the Saturdays, you see some of these black and white pictures on the wall, it'd be like 80, 90, 100 kids coming in, and they're all just kicking the shit out of each other. But like,
did we see that with the adult contests now? Like these guys come rolling in, everyone's limping out of there.
Yeah.
Something broke.
Oh God,
And I'm like, this is a battle. These guys are going to battle.
Yeah. But this is like not, it was good in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But then it's just not sustainable over a long period.
So both of your parents were, obviously did martial arts before the big U.S. wave in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So what was like that, to them, what was that rise? Like they just got like a huge boom and...
Judo was really popular in the 70s. And then karate was very popular. And then obviously UFC came in, and then BJJ became the thing. And, even growing up like in my elementary ago-ish, maybe like 20, 30 years ago when BJJ was kind of coming out. I was like, what is this thing? And then even then, because we did majority judo here, and then we had traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, so it really was like the in-between.
Yeah.
You know, so we had a lot of interest in that, you know?
Cool.
Yeah, and then it was popping up everywhere, and it's like, oh, you know, how come those guys are doing so good business-wise and we're terrible? And people were just like getting their legs broken from judo and like, you know, it's like
Not strong enough. I can feel like there's like a clear change in the fortunes of karate people's lives when the Karate Kid came out in the 80s.
Oh my God.
I
so
honestly,
good. Yeah.
sometimes I think about like, would I even be born if it wasn't for like certain movies that enabled our school to succeed, which enabled my family to be financially stable, for me to be born, whatever. I don't know, but like I remember when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, like probably like 89, 90, and they did like a promotion day in our dojo, and my dad had like some of his like, you know, little teen lackeys dress up like Ninja Turtles, and they like were doing kicks and stuff.
Did you do karate?
Say what?
Teenage Ninja Turtles did karate?
I don't know.
I guess it's probably,
so. They kick
yeah.
people.
You're close enough.
Did
Yeah.
nunchucks. They're turtles, you know. I don't think they really did anything.
I
But
mean, what was Master Splinter? He has a gi, right?
he seems like an old kung fu guy to me.
He did
That's-
Kosen judo.
Hop keto. No, but then my dad for the big demonstration, he lit 2 center blocks on fire, and went to break it, and they like dimmed the lights down. And,
that's
like
the best,
the amount of like pageantry in that and the marketing is so great, you know. But then then it was like this. But then in the 90s, all the mixed martial arts stuff came out, and then it was like it invalidated everybody's traditional martial art. Like
It really did, yeah.
everything sucks except for you know, this very niche sport, which everyone also sucks at. You know, there's everyone sucked in the 90s, like in mixed martial arts in general. Like wrestlers were good, and, you know, whatever.
That's really the craziest thing, like watching a sport like BJJ evolve in real time. Because like I went and visited Essential with you guys, and you know there was a guy who was a blue belt, but he's not really a blue belt. But what is a blue belt now? Like a blue belt skill now is really like a black belt skill 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And in terms of the just depth of knowledge and range,
Movements.
it's
and stuff.
and then like I was talking to JT about. You know, kids doing it from early childhood up.
Yeah.
This is like the first generation you're seeing of that, and that's pretty insane. But like,
Nuts.
Judo is so popular internationally, and like karate's been around for so many years. Like the sport isn't quite as like it's kind of matured into what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite have these like evolutionary swings anymore. But
jiu-jitsu is like a young sport.
kind of like there's something about that new territory to be found that it's like even on that, just on that level, it's a little more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I do feel like judo's having a popularity upswing though right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes and no. I feel like jiu-jitsu guys are getting more interested in it.
Yeah.
But in terms of overall standalone judo schools in the country that are thriving, I think it's sort of downtrending.
Yeah. No, that's
And that may be the future because BJJ has this huge upswing in the United States now. So now those guys want to do stand-up. Like especially in the gi, a lot of the older guys love gi, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, yes,
Me
it's more
too.
visible to no gi, right? With all the stuff happening, the promotions happening, but I think judo needs to ride the coattails of that a little bit, you know, and have like sort of these hybrid schools or teach twice a week judo classes to these guys to kind of keep the martial art alive. I don't really know. You know?
Yeah, but it's tough. It's tough to have like we were talking about this earlier. Like it's tough to do a little bit of judo.
Tough.
It's like doing a little bit of skydiving.
Yeah.
You don't want to dabble in certain activities because like at one of my gyms I trained at, there was like a wrestling class on Sundays, and it was the least popular class because you know if you go there, it's going to be like the guy who's really good at wrestling, and then a couple people, and you're going to throw up in a trash can. You don't know any of the moves. And it's too hard.
It's tough, man.
You know?
And then, you know, when you're on the fence, dude, do I really want to go? And so you're doing judo 3 nights a week or something, and then you're banged up from Wednesday. Like, do I want to go today? You miss one class, so hard to get back into it.
Oh yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, you can go 6 days a week, no problem.
Yeah.
Flow roll, chill, take somebody smaller.
Yeah.
Judo, man, you're in it. Your life depends on it, really. So you could get paralyzed. You could break a leg that day. It's just you went through it.
Yep, I
ACL.
sure did.
Yeah.
Somebody went through me, I should say.
Bring it back to the kids, though. Reagan, is there something you don't like about teaching the kids program here? You can be candid.
I think exactly what you were saying. Like sometimes I'm like just dealing with like business stuff outside the dojo, personal stuff, and it's just like I don't want to be here. And then I just have to force myself to kind of like get that cheery attitude. But sometimes it's like it's I realize it's just me. It's not the kids. The kids are great, and I'm privileged to be here to be able to teach them. But sometimes I'm just like, I'd rather be anywhere else.
That's, I mean, once you're a parent too, I get it, right? It's like, I love my kid, but then sometimes Saturday morning, I didn't get good sleep, I'm tired, all I want to do is sleep in, 7 in the morning. Papa, wake up! And she like jumps on me and she's like shaking me, let's play. And then it's like, some days you wake up and you're like, holy, you know, like.
This is forever.
But it's like, you know, like it's putting yourself in that mood to interact with the kids because that is such a big part of the service.
I mean, like, if I can just come in and then like BS with the kids all day, show them cool judo stuff, and have them play, like then that's everyone will do that job, right? The goal is to do it on the range of days. And what's funny is that these kids go through ranges too with like school schedules and their expectations. So I come in here and I see it, and it's like sometimes I got to wake them up. Sometimes I got so much energy, I'm like, all right, let's go. And then you know. The only thing is kind of like extraneous is that like, okay, then by the time I get to train at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I am shot.
That's a tough thing.
And it's really like coming to terms with that and being like, where does my participation lie in this whole thing? And
that must be so relatable to the people who are listening. Because it's freaking 3 o'clock right now. We're recording this till like 3:30, 4 o'clock. Kids roll in. You guys are doing that. Right?
I'm on till 9:30 p.m.
That's a long day for you guys.
Well, and also it's the verbal demand.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, we understand.
We signed up for this. No, it's the verbal demand of talking for that amount of time, because if you're teaching a kids class, you're talking the whole time. And I love the sound of my own voice, so it's easier for me. But I think it's by the end of the kids classes, sometimes I want to like eat an orange in the changing room and look at my phone, and I don't want anyone to even look at me because I think you can get overstimulated from it.
That's
the sensei voice. I realize I'm just like projecting now a little bit harder, like when but it just you kind of have to reach this tonality to operate.
Yeah, when you teach kids all day, your dad ever come home and has a sensei voice? My mom used to be like, fucking guy, you know, at the dojo. Like,
oh, that's funny. Yeah,
you gotta turn it off.
Must have had to be stern with him to not. My dad was always like pretty quiet at home. I think because he was always like, I mean, he would teach like, let's say like 4 classes in the evenings, like every day. And so by the time he comes home, it's like he just wants to eat, maybe go for a jog, and then like watch some TV, and then just. He doesn't want to like get into it with about anything, you know. So, which I actually completely understand. You know.
There's a tone though. The sensei tone. No, like remember they're like, all right, guys, dinner. All right, let's go. Hey, you know, it's like mom's like.
We're equals. No, and honestly, that's one of the funniest things too. Like the thing about the voice is that we all talk like our instructor to some point, and sometimes it's so embarrassing.
It is.
Like you see like white guys with Brazilian accents.
It's
I know what you're doing. Please be yourself.
Just stop.
Or the white guy with the Japanese accent, which in karate is the only one to have. There's so many white guys doing like a Miyagi voice in karate to this day. Okay, punch, same, you know. It's like hibachi chef level energy, you know.
Well, I see this all the time when I'm doing the media stuff with the BJJ guys and even judo to a certain extent. You know, everybody knows how to perform in front of the class. They know that lecture style, and now I'm trying to break them out of it. Like, why are you doing this? It's the only thing, like, you learned, you succeeded, then you taught, and that's successful, you're getting money, so let me look into the camera and do the same thing. I'm like, it doesn't work here in that same way.
Your regular day-to-day speech has to be that when you're teaching almost, and that's a really good, you know, because people have, like, professor talk.
Podium talk. You know, like, what is the, one of my friends who was a lawyer pointed it out to me. He's like, what is that mode of talking? Like, today, we find ourselves in the dojo. I was like, what is that? Like, when did we come up with that?
King's speech.
Oh my god.
And I know it's a function of like echoing and stuff like that, but we just like we love it as people. We're just like, yes, this guy.
We want to be roused.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of it. I see a lot of people come in here for that reason, right? For that like kind of leadership thing, where like you can't find that at like a Planet Fitness and like rock climbing gym. You're not gonna find that. So it's like there's a lot of that. People want it. I don't know.
I wish I had a more commanding like sensei voice, because I think I've taught too many kids to where I always have the like, let me explain to these 7-year-olds why they're in timeout voice. Even in conflict. Like I was walking down the street with my girlfriend. We were gonna go to Central Park, and this crazy person or weird person, I don't know if they were crazy, they were just strange. They like kind of brushed by my girlfriend, and they stiff armed her. Like this, is this crazy lady. She stiff armed. She's like, watch where you're going, like that.
Lady?
Yeah, and I was like, hey, why don't you watch where you're going? We're going this way. And then she starts going crazy and saying all this stuff to me. She's like, I'm in the crib, and I was just like, I don't care if you're in the crib. Like, I can tell that, like, even though this might lead to a physical altercation, which I don't want it to, I'm still talking to her the way I would talk to a child. And I wish I had some kind of like Steven Seagal voice. Like, not that he can fight, but he has a cool sounding voice. Right. Just like, I don't sound that way. I sound like a concierge who's telling you there's no more carriage rides on a Sunday. You know, like, this is the least intimidating voice. But it's great for teaching kids. So.
Yeah, no, man, you're really good at it.
That's
Man, teaching kids is a challenge, right? And you got to structure the time, you have to manage the space, and you have to be the leader in the room.
But it's the lifeblood of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully these kids go on and do big things in judo and, you know, different areas.
Yeah,
right?
and also financially, you have to teach kids. Like,
you kind of do, yeah.
For most schools, you know.
Yeah. I mean, adults can't come here at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Can't fill the 5 p.m. slot either. Adults get off work at 5:30. You know, especially if you're in New York.
Yeah.
Not getting off before 5. You know,
No.
Make a 4 o'clock class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to almost fill that slot, and you're gonna fill it with kids, and you know, it's just a thing, right?
Yeah, but it is funny to have like grown up in the sport and then be on the other side of it. I think honestly that's why I attribute all my skill with teaching kids to that, is that I remember being a kid in class. I remember what it was like. I remember how boring it was.
Could be boring, man.
Oh, it can be so boring.
Yeah.
It can be brutally boring. So.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna do 100 uchikomis, and you're like this. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, it was the worst. Hearing a number, it's like, it's gonna be 30 today. It's like this, god damn it. And they just gotta like do it. It sucks. It's boring. You have no reason to be doing it. You're just kind of being forced to do it. And if you start messing around, you get yelled at. But that's fun too.
It's the only way you can get away with it. Oh yeah, we're like I remember one time I went to I did judo for like 6 seconds when I was a kid, and me and my brother, who also just wasn't having fun. We went to a judo seminar at the Citadel. So it's it's like 50 cadets, and then me and my stupid brother, and they're like, okay, this is Oshiro Biro Jiro Goshi, and we're just like, oh my god, I felt like I slow danced with my brother for 2 hours. It was the worst seminar I've ever been to. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, you got to show the kids the throw.
Yeah.
And, make it relatable. Like, I used to say, like, oh, this is Batman throw.
Oh, nice.
And then it's Ippon Sanagi. And you're showing Ippon Sanagi, and then you rip it once. Boom! And then you don't let the kids know that you didn't do it. And they're like, holy,
Yeah.
And then it's like, anyone want to see it again? Right? And then like, yes, oh, it's like, all right, Batman does it, Superman does it. And then the kids are like, oh, I gotta learn this. It's like, you can throw your out of shape dads with this move. Right? And then they get all hyped up because now like, oh, I could flip someone. And now it's a different ballgame. Now you have the kids' attention.
That's
right.
right.
Show you how it's done.
Not
100 uchikomis.
No
one gives a shit. Ippon Senai, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
No one gives a shit.
I love to raise the stakes for kids in a way that doesn't really matter, and they know it's a joke, but it's so funny. Be like, it's like Halloween time. Be like, okay, guys, in this next match, whoever loses has to give up all their candy. Yeah. And they're like, no, you're lying. I'm like, no, I actually counted all your candy. Or you get all Sensei Greg's money. He's gonna bring a big golf check if you win this match. Like,
they were screaming at me for hours after that. They're like, where's my money? I'm like, it's over here.
Man, it's so fun teaching kids, but it is so demanding, and you have to always be on. It's truly a challenge.
Yeah. It's a safety thing, too,
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to leave off with the kids program? Advice to people who are listening, watching, who teach kids programs?
Learn from Joe.
Yeah, if I had any advice, I would say, number one, background check all your instructors.
Yes, you know what? Yes, I should.
Triple
Yeah,
check.
that should have started with that.
Honestly,
Yeah.
background check. Make sure you have insurance.
100%, yes,
You know, make sure your
without a
place
doubt.
is physically safe and mentally safe, and then just take it serious. Don't treat it like a watered down adult class. Treat it like a separate activity.
Yes.
And then
Definitely.
and prosper, make all your money,
Yeah.
and cut cakes with a samurai sword would be my 4th tip.
The fourth down the
birthday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you guys ever need an Airbnb property manager,
Oh, he gave the sales pitch this whole
Joe
episode.
Coker,
That's right.
episode.
manages 26 properties.
Yep,
26 properties, 3 of which are mine, right?
and counting.
And counting. So yeah, we'll talk about real estate one of these days.
Black belt business.
All
Yeah.
right, guys.
All
Thank
right.
you. It was-
Thanks, everybody.